Here's a prophecy update concerning the mark of the beast. This article comes from U.S. News and World Report, and it states, the real ID decisions, whoever wins the presidential election is going to face big choices regarding the national real ID law. The article states, does presidential-elect Donald Trump support having a U.S. national ID card? By quirk of fate, that question may be one of the first issues to land on the new president's desk after Inauguration Day, when U.S. Department of Homeland Security efforts to implement a national ID actually kick into high gear. Department of Homeland Security announced recently that it will refuse Americans access to federal facilities beginning on January 30, 2017, if they carry the driver's licenses or IDs from states that don't comply with the Real ID Act. Of course, this hardball tactic will be carried out in the new president's name, or President-elect Donald Trump. Congress passed the Real ID Act way back in 2005. It seeks to coerce states into issuing ID cards and licenses with nationally standardized data elements. It also requires states to share their databases or driver's information across a national data network. This national ID system would be run by the states for the federal government. The law calls on all federal agencies led by the Department of Homeland Security to refuse IDs and driver's licenses from non-compliant states. Many states have resisted these federal dictates. So starting in January, military families from those states will be turned away from their sons and daughters' boot camp graduations if they can't find suitable alternative identification. They won't be allowed on the military bases. Other elements of the Department of Homeland Security's enforcement plan include turning travelers from non-compliant states away at airports starting in 2018. And by 2020, the Department of Homeland Security expects every domestic air traveler to present a Real ID compliant license or some other federal or federally approved identification. That's final implementation by 2020. If this is fully implemented in 2020, it will make President-elect Donald Trump the first president to have implemented a national ID in the United States of America. So the question we have to ask is this Real ID card, if it's implemented fully, the mark of the beast? Well, the answer is actually no. The Real ID is not the mark of the beast. However, the reason we talk about it and report on it is because it is establishing the system or a system that could be used to implement the mark of the beast as soon as the prophesied world government fully comes into power. So you say, well, what can we do? What should be done at this point? Well, the Real ID Act should be repealed, and all other forms of a national ID should be permanently outlawed. Not only is the numbering of human beings prophesied in the Bible, Revelation chapter 13, but also a national ID is the critical tool that allows a totalitarian government to exercise total control over its citizens. Ask Adolf Hitler why he numbered the Jews. It was all about control. Americans have adamantly refused the adoption of a national ID for the last 240 years. Hopefully, President-elect Donald Trump will continue to refuse the implementation of any kind of national ID in the United States of America.